Gita. So that's why he's giving a smile. Finally you've surrendered. Finally, the time has come. Sort
Yes,
of.
perfect, perfect. So meaning, uh, and this also actually tells us that until the other person is keen on accepting the advice completely without any resistance, the advice does not actually, cannot be provided. Meaning we see that in our professional life also, right? When our manager gives us some feedback and we continuously say, no, 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 what I've done is right, what I have done is right. So how will the manager be able to communicate what he expects from us? It will become a bit difficult for him. So in such a scenario, the spiritual knowledge also is expected to be received without offering any resistance to the guru. So that is precisely how Krishna felt, that now that you have surrendered unto me, you have opened the doors for me. Now I will be able to speak Bhagavad Gita properly, and you will be able to understand it properly. So let's start. Anybody has any question around any of these verses conducted so far? Chapter 1, chapter 2, until verse number 10. Any question? No? Okay, so let's proceed. Okay, so verse number 11, you all can unmute. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha
Shri
Shri
Bhagavan
Bhagavan
Uvacha
Vacha
Ashochan Anvashocastvam
Vacham
Ashochan
Vastam
Vashocastvam
Prajnavadamscha Bhashase
Prajnavadamscha Bhashase
Gatasu Nagatasumscha
Gatasu
Gatasho
Nagatasu
Sure.
Sham
Nanushocanti Panditaha.
Nanusochanti
Nanushotanti
Pandita
Panditaha.
Can someone read the translation?
Yeah. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
Okay, great. Now, what has happened so far? Arjuna has surrendered. Krishna has surrendered, requested Krishna to become his guru. Um, uh, he has become his disciple, and Krishna has accepted it. So the first thing that a guru generally does is to remove the incorrect understanding that previously the student has been carrying with him. So you remember, right? We have the three words, three phases when we learn something. When we learn, that's the first step. We have to then unlearn it, and then we have to relearn. Okay. So what happens is, sometimes when we learn, we may learn some few things incorrectly. So that is that unlearning phase comes in picture. And when we unlearn, then we are ready to accept the new learning. That's why the relearning phase comes in. So similarly, Arjun had been carrying this incorrect understanding, which now Krishna wants to give him the correct understanding. But if you see a bucket which is full of water, if you want to pour more water in it, you first have to take out the existing water, and then only you can put the clean water in it. So first Krishna is chastising him, his student, so that he will be able to understand what is incorrect, and he can remove that away and take Krishna's advice. So how is he chastising? He is saying, Prajna Vadamsha Bhashase. So you are speaking like a learned person. Your talks are very like a learned person. Yeah. But they are like a foolish. You are actually a fool. Why? Because you are lamenting. Ashochan Anvashochastvam. Ashochan meaning to lament. Anvashochastvam is you are lamenting on something which is not worthy of lamentation. Okay. On top of that one, you are speaking like a learned person. Why? Because the learned, they never lament. Na anushocanti and pandita. Pandita is the learned person. Anushocanti is to lament, and na is to never. So nanushocanti pandita, meaning the learned never lament for whom gatasun agatasun. Okay, gatasun is the living, agatasun is dead person. So the learned never lament for neither the living nor the dead. And you are talking like a learned person, but you are not actually learned because you are lamenting for something which is not worthy of lamentation. This is the key aspect of this verse. Okay. So now you see in this verse also we have Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Yeah. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. And in verse number 2 also we had Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Okay. But what is the difference between both of them? We did speak about it partially in one of the classes. Anybody can guess? No? Okay. So what has happened? The verse number 2.7 is the turning point where Arjun surrenders and becomes and accepts Krishna as the guru and becomes his disciple. But until then, the relationship between Arjun and Krishna was a friendly relationship. But now the relationship has changed. The Arjun has become a disciple, Krishna has become a guru. So it's a guru and disciple relationship, which is a far different relationship than a friend to friend relationship. Now, the way Arjun or the way Krishna will speak to him is far different than the way he spoke with him in 2.2 and 2.3. But in both the contexts, it is mentioned as Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. So, can anybody guess who has put it down in this manner? Like, for example, when Arjun speaks to Krishna, he doesn't say, see Arjun Uvacha, right? And when Krishna speaks to Arjun, he doesn't say Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, so that somebody can hear it and record it later and or record it and write it down later. So who has added these statements? Shri Bhagwan Uvacha, Sanjay Uvacha, Dhritarashtra Uvacha, Arjun Uvacha. Who do you think has added it?
Prabhuji, Ved Vyas added this.
Yes, exactly. So now Ved Vyas, he knows very well, right, that in 2.7 Krishna Arjun has surrendered. So Shri Bhagwan Uvacha logically should come in 2.11. But despite that, he puts in 2.2 also he puts Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Why is that so? Why is he called Bhagwan in 2.2 when the relationship between Arjun and Krishna is of a friend with each other? Any guesses? So that is because whether Krishna is Arjuna's friend or whoever he is still Bhagwan, irrespective of whether it was before he ascended, not he descended onto earth, or during his period, or after he left. In all three times, he is still Bhagwan. Even if whether he eats mud, even when Yashoda Mata chastises him, even when he is born in the prison, even when Vasudev carries him in a basket, even when he dances on Kalia, even when he kills Kamsa, even when he is dancing with the gopis, even when he marries 16,100 girls, and even when he is doing a menial job of being a charioteer for Arjun. In all the cases, he is still Bhagwan. And that is the reason why he is called as Achyuta. Achyuta meaning one who does not fall down from his position. Chuta is to fall down. Achyuta is the one who does not fall down. Because he remains Bhagwan irrespective of what situation is he in, whom is he dealing with. So that's why the Bhagwan is applicable even in 2.2 also. Now, Gatasuna Gatasumsha Nanu Shochanti Pandita. What does this mean? The wise, the learned people, they do not lament, they do not grieve for neither the living people nor the dead people. So what has Arjun done? Arjun spoke of very grave consequences, yeah, based on whatever he has learned from the scriptures. But he has missed a very, very key, fundamental, and most important point from the scriptures. Any guesses? What is that? Anybody? No? That is the knowledge of the Atma, the soul, that he has missed, which is what now Bhagwan is pointing to, which he will explicitly mention in the next to next verse. But now he is giving a hint in 2.11 and 2.12 also, he will talk about it. A Pradnya Vadamsha Bhasha say, what does this mean? It's basically talking like a learned person. Now, learned person are basically those who understand the subject matter deeply, and their actions also speak accordingly. What Arjuna is doing? Arjuna is lamenting firstly, which learned people do not do. Yeah, because they understand the complete aspect behind a certain situation. Okay, so where his actions of lamenting and the words are do not align with each other. So that's why he is saying. Now, what happens is when you see a drama, you see a person, the writer has written some statements which the person speaks here, but he may not actually behave that way. So there is a distance, there's a difference between what his actions are and what he's actually speaking. Yeah. So Arjun, in this case, Arjun's actions, they lack wisdom. So indirectly, Krishna is calling that you are speaking like a fool. Okay, which is something which is not worthy of lamentation. You are lamenting on. Okay. So let's move on to the next verse, where Krishna will go a bit more deeper into this topic. So verse number 12.
So Sachin sir,
Huh,
before that, I have a doubt. So you
yeah.
mean to say Arjuna is still not ready to get the knowledge from Krishna?
No. Arjun has, see, knowledge, the attitude, the platform on which you accept knowledge, Arjuna has become ready. But Arjun has not received the knowledge yet. So at this point of time, we cannot consider Arjun as a knowledgeable person. But whether Arjun is ready to accept the knowledge, yes, he is ready to accept it. And that the reason he is not knowledgeable itself is the reason why he is actually approaching the guru. So first is to admit that we have a problem, and then we to accept that we need a solution and this person could be the right person, and then to approach him, accept the solution and apply it. So he has reached the first and second step. He has admitted that he has a problem. In 2.6 he has said that I cannot decide. In the next verse he approaches the right person and surrenders to him, becomes his disciple, and now he is accepting the knowledge from Krishna. And at the end of Bhagavad
Okay,
Gita, he says that, okay, I have understood everything. Now I will apply it in my life.
okay. Thank you.
Sorry, one moment. Okay, so let's move on to verse number 12. Natvevaham jatu nasam
Natteyatam chatunasam
वाहं दासं
natvam neme janadhipaha
न त्वं नेमे
त्वं मे
जनाधिपाः
janadipa
na chaiva na bhavishyamah
न चैव
न
न
चैव
na chaiva
भविष्यामः
na bhavishyamaha
sarve vayamatah param.
सर्वे वयमतः
vayamata
परम्
param.
Translation.
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us case to be.
Yeah. So now he is now directing us to the topic that he wants to talk about, that is the soul. And for that, he is saying, never was there a time when I did not exist. Meaning, as Bhagwan is called as Anadi and Ananta and Anadi Radir Govinda, meaning there is nobody before Bhagwan, there is nobody after Bhagwan. Now, nor you. When he is talking about you, he is not talking Arjun as as the body. He is talking Arjun as the soul. Nor all these kings. So neither the kings, he is saying, neither did they not exist. They also existed. And not just the past, but in the future also, there will never be a time when neither of us will not exist. So the Bhagwan, the disciple, and all the kings who are present on that battlefield, and not just the kings, it is applicable to everybody on the battlefield. Neither did they not exist, nor will they not exist. Everybody has been existing, and everybody will continue to exist. And when he says that, he is not talking about the body, because body we see, it is cremated, right? We burn it. Some people they bury it. Yeah. So irrespective of that, the body will deteriorate, and that is what Krishna will, when he does analytical study of the soul and the body, he gives many different characteristics of the soul and the body also, compares it to highlight that the body will undergo deterioration, but soul will not. So now when he is referring to the soul and not the body. So why is a negative tone there in the verse? Any guesses? See, when we study something, we should be taught what certain thing is rather than what certain thing is not. So this particular verse and even the previous verse also, it contains certain kind of negative tone. So what has happened is, uh, Arjun, his conceptions of material life have driven him to think that life ends upon the destruction of body. And we also think that way, right? Majority of the people, if you ask them about life, their their description will start at birth and will end at death. And we will see a few points when we reach to 2.13 how incorrect it is. So why Krishna is using negative tone here? Because he wants to remove this misconception and to emphasize on the eternality of the soul. And it's the soul is applicable not just to Arjun or the Bhagwan, it is applicable to everybody. There is a difference between the soul of Bhagwan and our soul. We will come to that when we discuss about it. So Krishna is saying that you are thinking that you are going to kill them, but you are actually not killing anybody. And how it is, we will go to it when we come to the soul. So he is saying that you are not going to kill anybody. You are not actually going to end their life now, because their life will continue in the form of a soul going into another body. So you don't need to lament. He's saying Bhavishyamah atah param. So he's saying they were in the past, they exist in the present, they will exist in the future. Okay, these kings are going to live forever. Do not grieve for their death. Don't think that your loved ones will cease to exist. You don't need to lament for them. Yeah. Now there is one important point that I would just like to draw your attention to. So there is a kind of a school of thought which says that which is called as a Mayavadi theory. Generally, we don't indulge in such kind of discussions, but it is good to understand that there is some school of thought like this one. But what is incorrect in that? So there is that school of thought which says that once you get moksha, you get merged with Lord. You become one with the Lord. So that is an incorrect thought, and it is defeated by Krishna in this particular verse. So that thought says that you lose your identity. That means you do not remain yourself. You have lost your identity. You have merged into the body of the Lord. You have merged into Brahman. Some people think that God is formless and God is light. So you merge into that light. Okay. Krishna is defeating that thought. Krishna is saying that no, you yourself, your individual identity, you will continue to exist in the future. There will never be a time that you did not existed. There will never be a time that you will not exist. You will continue to exist. So that thought, that theory of merging with the Supreme after liberation is defeated in this verse. Hare Krishna. So let's move on. Any question around this one? Even if you don't understand these points about merging with the Supreme and Mayavadi theory and all, does not matter. Over a period of these remaining verses of Bhagavad Gita, we will constantly touch upon these topics and more details can be understood. Any questions so far? No? Okay. So now this verse which we are going to cover, 2.13, is the foundational verse of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. This is called as sutra, paribhasha sutra verse. Paribhasha sutra is principle, and that definition is about the soul. So if this verse can be understood, meaning from meaning perspective, it is very simple to understand. But from an application perspective, this is the most difficult verse to apply. People give up their whole life, but still they find it difficult to apply this verse in their life. Okay, though this is that complex in terms of application, but very simple to understand. Let's read this verse. Dehino asmin yatha dehe
देहिनो
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 अस्मिन् यथा
अस्मिन्
अस्मिन्
यथा
देहे
यथा
देहे
देहे
kaumaram yauvanam jara
कौमारं
कौमारं
यौवनं
कौमारं
जरा
यौवनं
Jara,
तथा देहांतर प्राप्ति
तथा
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 देहान्तरप्राप्तिः
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 धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति.
धीरस्तत्र
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 न
न
मुह्यति
मुह्यति.
Translation.
Krishna.
As the embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person is not bewildered by such a change. Right.
Thank you, Prabhu. So let's look at the meaning word by word. So dehino meaning something which has a body, embodied, yes, something which is covered by a body. Asmin yatha dehe. Yatha, whenever you see the word yatha, you will also see the word tatha in either the same verse or in the next verse. So we also say in English like just like this and that, yeah, that way. Dehe meaning in the body. Okay. Deha is body, dehe is within the body. So what is it saying? Dehino asmin yatha dehe meaning just like in this body, the embodied, that is the soul. He has not used the word Atma or soul yet, but now he is referring to something, some entity which is encaged within the body. Okay. Just like this one, what happens? Kaumaram Yauvanam Jara, meaning just like the body moves from a youth to a childhood to youth to old age. Okay. Tatha Dehantara Prapti, meaning similarly, Deha Antara, meaning change of body and obtaining a new body. Okay. When do you obtain a new body? Obviously, at the time of death. And there is a kind of a period between leaving the old body and obtaining a new body, okay, that which is mentioned in Garud Puran, but we will not go into that now. But we just need to understand that when we give up this body and we take up a new body, then dhiras tatrana muhyati. So this particular change of body that happens, a sober person is never deluded by this change. Muhyati meaning delusion. Moha, we say na? Mohitam. Somebody who has become mohit, he has been deluded. Maya is saying, we use the word Maya. So Maya does moha. And one who is uh, meaning overcome by moha is mohit. Dhiras tatrana muyati, a dhir, a sober person. A sober person meaning he does not lose his mental balance in any situation. He is a wise, learned person and mentally balanced person. Such a person does not become deluded by the change. Yeah. Isn't it so simple to understand? But actually it is so difficult, right? If we lose one of our loved one, how difficult it is to accept that loss. So, but the Lord is clearly specifying here, because we are ordinary people, we do not have sufficient knowledge, we cry, we lament. But the Lord is saying there is nothing to lament. And in one of the subsequent verses, Krishna also mentions Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya, Vasamsi Jirnani Yatha Vihaya, Tatha Sharyarani Vihaya Jirnani Anyani Samyati Navani Dehi. He's saying as we change the clothes when they become worn out and we wear new clothes, similarly the soul takes up new body by giving up the old ones. So it is that change. Now, why this needs to be understood so in detail? Let's look at that. Yeah. So Prabhupada used to constantly mention you are not the body, you are a soul. And that complete philosophy, if you understand it at the platform of the soul, then Bhagavad Gita can be understood in a far easier manner. But if you constantly consider yourself as the body and try to understand Bhagavad Gita, it will be difficult for one to understand. Let's look at one small analogy. So when we go to the bank of a river, we see the river and the water within the river continuously flowing. Yeah. So, but what do we say? We say this is the river. So the river is known by the water contained in that uh, that shape, that place. Let's say the water becomes dried up completely. There is zero, one, not even a drop of water. So then would we say that this is the river? We will say that a river named so and so used to flow from here. And we will not say this is the river because there is no water. So the water helps us identify the river. Now the water is actually not static, it's constantly flowing, constantly flowing. So then which water are we talking about, which identifies itself with the river? Is it the one that has not yet come, or is it the water which has actually gone from the current point forward? So if you see, the water is continuously changing. So which means the river is also changing. So we give a name to that river, but it is not the same what it was a moment before. So only because the river bed and the path of the river is same, we say that the river is the same. But the water is continuously changing. Now, when we look at life from only one birth and one death, one set of birth and death perspective, then it will be very difficult for us to accept the loss of a person. But when we look at it from millions of lifetimes, then we will see it is like a bubble in the water that comes up, remains there for some time, and then it vanishes. Similarly, the body is also like that. Today we have a body, We identify anything and everything with the body today. So let me just ask you some few basic questions. Okay. Can you tell me something about yourself? Just one or two people, if you can say anything about yourself. And I will ask you a further question that whatever you say should not be related to your body. Then will you be able to say about something about yourself? Anybody? You can unmute and speak. No?
What if I say that I am a mother? So then are
Correct.
you will be related that I'm a mother because of a body and I've given birth to children? Or is it uh, honestly not too sure?
Yeah, actually, mother is also the body, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because uh, if we apply this philosophy which Krishna has taught in the previous verse, that there was never a time that we did not exist. So that means we as a soul existed and we had either a spiritual body or a material body. So if we had a material body, then either sometimes you were a male and in some of the species you may be a female. This particular life you are a female. So that's why you are a mother. But that same statement may not be applicable to some of your previous births where you may not have been a female, you may have been a male. So again, this relates to the body. So when we say that, yeah,
Say,
Prabhu, Siddharth Prabhu, yes, please.
what if we say I am a happy person? It has got nothing to do with the body, right?
It is again with the body only, because you are sometimes happy, sometimes sad.
No, but
At this point of
happiness
time,
and sad has got nothing to do with the body, right? If I'm not wrong, that is something to do with the mental this thing.
correct. And where is the mind related to? The mind is also related to the body, right? What you are saying actually is technically correct. The constitutional position, the original state of a soul is Sat, Chit and Ananda. So Sat meaning eternal, Chit meaning full of knowledge, and Ananda is full of happiness. So what you are saying is technically correct. The soul is always happy. So that way, your statement is I am happy is actually not related with the body, it is related with the soul. So you are technically correct. But just because we are at a level where we are trying to differentiate between the body and the soul, that's why we should understand why happy is related with the soul and why not with the body. So you're technically correct. Your statement is correct. So what I was saying is, when we say my name is so and so, my age is so and so, I am an Indian, I am a Hindu, I am a Muslim, I work in so and so company, I get so much salary, I have this bank account, I have this property, I have this wife and that child, and my child is studying here, and my property and everything. Try to think for a moment, anything and everything that we are thinking about is related with the current body. You can take this as a kind of, take, I mean, as a thought basically, which you can ponder about after the class. Try to think of something which is not related to the body. So one hint Siddharth Prabhu has already given. Hmm. Try to think of something. Then you will understand that either you may not have been able to think of anything, or if at all you have been able to think of, then it could be hardly 1 or 2 points. But the remaining 98, 99% of your thoughts are constantly revolving around the body. Now you can imagine, let's take, you had an example. हाँ प्रभु बात करनी है आपको?
Yeah, Prabhuji, just a thought came. I'm thinking a bit loud here.
Yeah.
Maybe I can say that It's what Krishna has said in shloka. So I can say, I have taken many births in many lives, right? I have taken many births and deaths.
Yeah,
So here I is soul, not body. I don't know. This is what
yeah.
Krishna.
I is the soul. You are right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very true. Correct. Nandu Mataji, yes, please.
One question. Now, here, if you look at what you have explained and what the screen also says, that you should rejoice for people changing the bodies from the old to the new ones. However, like in this lifetime, I have relationships, and whether it's a relationship with a child or with a parent, whatever. Now, these relationships or whatever the feelings again comes through the generations that are going across. So losing someone is definitely not going to make you feel rejoice. And then if you rejoice that they're moving on to a newer body, then are you not being doing a disservice or to the memories or the things that you had with that person?
Yeah, you are right. See, at an ordinary level, if you see, you are right. Wherein to be able to think of the loss of somebody, the memories, that person, and the relationships and all is very difficult. Now, there are two, three aspects that we need to understand. First, Krishna is talking about a person who is learned, wise, very high in wisdom. Okay. And he is mentally balanced in terms of, his emotions. We are not there yet. We are gradually trying to reach there. Yeah. We will need some time to reach there. But Krishna is talking about that person. When Prabhupada writes to rejoice, to basically be happy about it, there are two aspects to it. One is it is referred to from the perspective of Arjuna's questions. Arjun is saying, if you remember in verse 2.4, Arjun has said, how can I meaning kill these people by Bhishma and Drona that he is referring to? Yeah. Katham Bhishma Maham Sankhya. How can I counterattack these people in battle? Men like Bhishma and Drona, who are worthy of my worship. How can I kill them? Okay. So now Arjun is thinking that these people will lose their bodies, and it is something which is needs to be lamented upon. What Prabhupada is writing is, look at it from another perspective. The bodies of Bhishma and Drona have become very, very old. Now, when you kill them, they are going to get another body, which will be new, a healthy one. Okay. So this is not to be mistaken as Krishna is giving a license to kill. Yeah, we will look at that aspect also when we move forward into the verses. There is a kind of a misconception that can be drawn here that Krishna is actually giving some kind of a permission to say, okay, fine, it is okay to kill old people because they are going to get new bodies. And it can also incorrectly be interpreted that there is this I forgot the euthanasia, right? Euthanasia is to killing a person who is actually suffering a lot. So why this is incorrect and why Krishna is not actually giving that message, we will see that when we go forward. So what I was trying to say is uh, every thought that comes to our mind is actually related to our body. Rarely, meaning people do not even know that they are a soul, not the body. People do not even accept the existence of soul. So maybe 200-300 years back, I'm not sure exactly when, but Christianity does not believe in soul. And one of the reasons which I read is they initially when they read in some scriptures about the soul, they did some experiments, but they could not trace the identity of a soul, the existence of a soul. So because it could not be proven, they have accepted that the soul does not exist. And because of
Then,
that,
then why do they say may the soul rest in peace? Actually, this
yeah,
is
I have I also have this question, but I have read in some Christian journals that they do not accept the existence of a soul. This is what I understood. I may be wrong here. I am not an authority on Christianity. So if somebody knows about it, it will be good if I can be corrected here. Very valid point, Siddharth Prabhu. But this is what I read. Meaning the point I'm trying to highlight here is, uh, even if we assume that other religions, or not just other religions, we can use scriptures of Hinduism also, other scriptures, they, meaning we will reach to it when we reach to 2.40, 41, 42. Krishna talks about it. I'm just giving a synopsis here. The most of the scriptures, they start from the life, the birth, and they reach to the point of death. And at that very point, then they talk about the soul. And during this whole life, how should one behave? What should one do? What should not one not do? And how should one enjoy? How should one not enjoy? And all of this is there. But every or majority of their instructions revolve around the body. And the point at which they stop is the point which where Bhagavad Gita takes off. So you can see when Krishna starts talking about the philosophy in 2.11, immediately he is talking about the soul. He is not talking about the body. And that is why to think that this is the only life. There is a kind of a theory that goes around within Europe or the Western countries, which is called as a YOLO theory, YOLO, which means you only live once. Okay, so that theory entitles one to believe that there is no life before birth, there is no life after death, and this is the only life. So what should one do? Enjoy. Maje karo. Yeah, meaning have drugs, have liquor, ye khao, ye karo, wo karo. You do all that nonsense that you want to, how you would define enjoyment, and bas wohi karo. There is nothing to life other than enjoyment, because this is the only life. You are going to get your youth only once. So kya, then enjoy. That is that theory. But that theory is not correct if you apply the knowledge that Bhagavad Gita is teaching us. The philosophy of life starting at birth and ending at death is itself incorrect, because we think that there is nothing before. And if you remember, we had these first few classes before we started the first verse of the first chapter. We spoke about these points as to what happens before life. If life did not exist before birth, can someone explain why some people are born with a golden spoon in their mouth, and why some people are born on the streets, difficult to, make both ends meet? Sometimes they do not get to eat even during both the meals. Why some people are born beautiful, handsome, very good looking, very healthy, strong people, whereas some people are born very, bad looking, or, some crippled person is there. Yeah. Some people are born like Sachin Tendulkar or Virat Kohli, and some people are not, do not have any talent. They do not possess, meaning, any talent to earn money. Some people are born like, very healthy. Some people are born very fat. Why does this disparity exist in society? One should be able to answer this one. So only then, and there are many actually points we can talk about, but I'm just limiting it now here. So it is not that Arjun did not know about Atma before. So if you remember in one of the verses in the first chapter, Krishna says, Narake niyatam vaso. Narake meaning in the hell, niyatam is constantly, vaso is to exist. So he is saying, I will have to live in the hell constantly, will never be able to come out if I perform such grievous sins. Now, Arjun is not a fool, right? Arjun, by the time this war was being fought, Arjun had almost on the verge of becoming a grandfather. Okay. Abhimanyu was married and Uttara was carrying as well. Now, Arjun has seen when so many deaths in the family. So he also knows that when a death happens, the body is burnt. Now, when the body is burnt, the who will go to Narak in that case? Something, right? Narake niyatam vaso. Vaso, for something to exist and stay over there, that something has to exist. Who will go to Naraka? If the body itself exists and there is no soul, then body is burnt over there. How can it go to hell? So he knows that it is not the body, it is the soul which will go. So he already understands uh, about the existence of a soul. That's why Krishna does not need to start the philosophy from the existence of a soul in terms of whether it does or it does not exist. It starts from the fact that it is accepted that the soul exists. Now, why should we understand that we are a soul, we are not the body? What is the benefit? So let's look at this point wherein he is now explaining the changes from boyhood to youth to old age, and the soul constantly moves from these phases and from one body to another, right? He also says that the body is undergoing change. With this, is highlighting this, the boyhood to youth to old age. Yeah, the body is undergoing change, but the soul remains constant. Soul is changeless. Okay. He is saying that uh, the change in the body does not cause any change in the soul. It remains unaffected. Now, what will happen with knowing this one? So, when we understand that we are not this body, we are a soul, then the question comes up as to, we will ask, why am I getting new bodies every time? Why do I get body? Why am I born? Why do I die? This question will help us understand about rebirth, reincarnation. If one understands that there is a rebirth, only then he will understand the concept of karma. When we understand karma, then we will understand why do things happen the way they do. Why this constant question comes up, right? Why do bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people? That can be understood when karma can be understood. When karma can be understood in a greater depth, one can also understand the difference between pious activities and sinful activities, which cause happiness and sadness respectively. When we understand this, then we understand the importance of human life. When we understand this human life, then we will understand the questions of how do I get rid of this cycle of birth and death. Then people will start walking on the path of avoiding birth and death altogether. And that is when bhakti can be understood. So that's why this whole knowledge starts from the basic philosophy about soul. You need to understand and you need to imbibe that we are a soul, we are not the body. And that is where I said, 98 or 99 or maybe in some cases 100% of our thoughts and our actions revolve around the knowledge that we are the body. We may not be a soul, we may not even know that a soul exists, but all the actions revolve around the body. So this verse is very significant for application in today's world, because today, if you see how is our life structured, right? We are born, people, parents take care of us, we go to school, parents tell us you have to go to school, you have to learn, you have to become big man, get good education, earn a lot, become a big person, famous person, knowledgeable person, learned person, get married, have children, become old, and then you will die. This is the regular stuff. Nobody talks about the fact that the purpose of life. Why have you taken birth? Nobody talks about it. You go to any friend, any random friend, yeah, you look at the discussions that happen. Rarely you will find people saying, okay, this is not the aim of human life. Let's not go into it. If at all you see people praying to God, okay, there is a motive behind praying to God. Either the motive is fear, meaning if I want something, I will not get it from you if I don't pray to you, or I have something which I don't want you to take back, so I'm praying to you. So either the fear of losing something which we possess or not obtaining something which we want to possess. That fear causes people to pray. Now, all this, what they want is around again the body. Rarely you will find a person or a family who is talking at the level of a soul. And that's why it becomes very critical, especially at this time, to understand that we are living in a society which is based on material fundamentals and values, not on spiritual fundamentals and values. So the word spirit is the basis of the word spiritual. And what is spirit? What is not matter is spirit. What is matter? Anything and everything which is there in the material world is matter. Earth, water, fire, air, and ether are the fundamentals of material world. Anything that is existing in the material world is made up of these five elements. That is matter. And something which is outside the matter is spirit. And the soul is called as a spirit soul. It is not made up of matter. And the study or anything about the spirit or the soul is called as spiritual. So we are studying spiritual subject. We are not studying religious subject. Hare Krishna. Any question? This topic is very difficult to implement. Simple, maybe simple to understand, but don't worry. We will be talking about this over a period of maybe second, third, fourth, fifth chapter also. Any question around this one? I hope you're not asleep.
No, Prabhuji, no problem.
Is this okay? Were you okay with the explanation? You think few things are not clear? You think no, there are other thoughts not aligning completely? No? Okay. Manju Mataji, Chitra Mataji, Latika Mataji, what are your thoughts? Thank you, Jitu Prabhu.
You have explained it well. It was just I'm trying to take the meaning of this within me, and I think it'll take me some time to honestly
Yeah.
align even on thinking on those lines.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, it takes time. It takes time, of course. Chitra Mataji, Latika Mataji, you're okay? Convinced or not fully?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji. Explanation is very well, but it will take some time
Yes,
to
you are right.
understand, to think that way.
Yeah.
Because
Sure.
still we are thinking from the body concept.
Yeah, you are right. You are right. Karima Mataji, Jitendra Prabhu and Deepak Prabhu have given a thumbs up. Siddharth Prabhu. Garima Mataji, you're okay? Any question, any concern? This will become even further clear as we go forward. So until verse number 30, Krishna talks about the characteristics of the soul and the differentiating factors between the body and the soul. So this will become even more clear after that. Deepak Prabhuji, sorry, you were saying something.
Yeah, Prabhuji, I was thinking, if like this is like basic understanding, our real identity is soul and not the body, right?
Yeah,
And the life becomes so easy if we basically start adopting it and using it in life, right?
true,
Okay.
true. So actually, you are very right. Actually, this actually helps us understand one other point also. I'll just take 1 minute from yours. Sorry, we have crossed the time limit. Just extra 1 minute. So when we were children, okay, we played lot of games with so many of our friends. Sometimes we won, sometimes we lost, right? Sometimes either we or our friends, when they lost, they cried, they fought, and then they did so many things. Mm. Now, if you look at it, let's say we were playing carom or chess or table tennis or running, langdi, kho, whatever it is, yeah. So we lost quite a few times. Yeah. And we may have fought as well with some of our friends and all that. We may have hit each other. Now, if you look back 20, 30, 40 years back, what did we do? We will actually laugh on ourselves, right? अरे क्या पागलपन जैसा we behaved that way, right? We will think of it. So at this point of time, because we have achieved a sufficient level of maturity, we look back at those incidents with assuming, meaning not assuming, knowing that we were children, we behaved so, amateurishly at that time, so childishly. Similarly, when we grow in spiritual maturity also, we look at the events that happen in our life also with such maturity. When some things, sometimes, while driving, somebody cuts across our cars or honks at us or flashes at us, immediately the ego in ourself, it rises up, and we utter this word and that word and flash back at him, or we honk back at him and all that. When we rise in spiritual maturity, we look at these events as something, as a delivery of karma by the Lord back to us. It is purposely to create agitation within us, to help us test ourselves. Have you risen in your spiritual maturity? When we continuously get this, then we start realizing, अरे क्या बचपना है, छोड़ो ना, फ्लैश किया उसने, क्या फर्क पड़ता है मुझे, या दो गाली सुनाया मेरे को, कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है। आज मेरा 1000 दिरहम मेरा गुम हो गया, आई लॉस्ट $1000, somebody fooled me for $1000, ठीक है, क्या फर्क पड़ता है। Yeah. That way we gradually mature to a stage wherein, अरे यार, it doesn't matter. Even if I lose my job, even if I lose my all the money, my property, bank, वगैरह, we know that there is something which is of higher spiritual importance that the Lord has thought already for me, and everything is going according to his master plan. This is my karma. He is just giving my karma back to me. And by doing that, he is helping me become a better devotee. So we rise into that maturity. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. We will continue this discussion next week. If you have any questions, you can post it on WhatsApp, or you can keep it for the next week, however you are comfortable.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Next week you are
Hare
here.
Krishna.
You mentioned you
Prabhu,
are
sorry.
traveling.
Next week I'm not here. So we will meet on next to next week. That is 28th March, and then probably 4th or 3rd April or 4th April. Yeah, I'll post it on the group.
Okay, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you so
Krishna.
much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hare
If you have
Krishna.
any feedback, please give me. I'll be happy to improve myself.
Sure.